Philomekin, the rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I have been watching The Mandalorian episode 4, and it was not really as good as episodes 1, 2, or 3. In fact, it's been a marked drop in quality. So I was trying to think, what on earth could this be about? Why is this happening? And then I looked at the director of the episode, and I looked up what else the director has done, and it's nothing. This director has done nothing. So how did this director get hired? I hear you ask. Well, firstly, this director is a woman, so that gives her a significant hiring advantage, I think, in Hollywood today. But most importantly, she got I'm just pulling up her IMDb. I had it already. Where'd it go? Really? Oh, wait, look at that. Got 2 windows open. See? Kids, don't open more than one window at once. You'll get confused. I pulled up IMDb, and it is not overly impressive. It is, of course, Bryce Dallas Howard, the daughter of Ron Howard, Richie from Happy Days, Jungle Boy, or was that Mickey Dolenz? What was his other thing he did? His other famous thing. I knew him as Richie from Happy Days, but there was another. Was he Opie? I can't remember. But he went on to be a director, a pretty good, solid director. They gave him Parenthood. I think is probably his best movie I can think of. Steve Martin movie from the late 80s, early 90s. Pretty darn good movie. And also, look, a solid jobbing director. Oh, Apollo 13. That's one. But this is Ron Howard's daughter. And Ron Howard's daughter does not have an impressive resume at all. Let's see what she's done. Bryce Dallas Howard. Where's filmography? Let's see what she's done as director. She has done The Mandalorian, 1 episode. Dads, a documentary from last year. Soulmates, a short Vanity Fair, Decades, and other short. Basically, she's done nothing. She has no experience. So, and it really shows. It really shows. The rest of The Mandalorian has been cinematic, like really wonderfully cinematic, and it's had wonderfully cinematic directors as well. I mean, it had real directors with a real background. So the first episode, you had Dave Filoni. I'm talking crap. I don't know what the background for Rick. I can't pronounce his name. Rick Famuyiwa. Rick Famuyiwa. I don't. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to click on his link. Let's see what he's done. I see he's African American, so yeah, that makes him great. Okay, but look, this guy's got a solid resume. He's done real movies. He was supposed to be directing The Flash, but that I think was cancelled. But he's got a real resume, working at indie film, working his way up, and he did a solid job. Debra Chow, who talked a lot about she's doing the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. So let's see what her career is. Okay, fine. She's got a real resume as well. But Bryce Dallas Howard doesn't. And this is no attack on Bryce Dallas. What do people call her? Bryce Dallas? Bryce Dallas? I don't know. I guess they call her Bryce. This is no attack on her. I don't know her. She's been in Jurassic Park. She's been, again, she's Ron Howard's daughter. She lives in Hollywood. She's kind of Hollywood royalty, and that's why I think she walked into this job, and she just wasn't qualified. And we saw it on screen. It's incredible how much we saw it on screen. And look, don't get me wrong, this wasn't, a waste of 35, 40 minutes, whatever it was. I think 37 minutes. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't anywhere near the quality. It was quality of the first 3 episodes. The first 3 episodes were like real, just, again, so you could see the $10 million they put on these 30 minutes on screen. This one, it kind of suddenly changed from, Return the Jedi to Caravan of Courage, which, if you don't remember, was when the mid-80s. I think it came out as a tie-in with Return the Jedi. It was a Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure, and like visually, this really felt like that. It really felt so much cheaper, and I don't think they gave her any less money. I just think she doesn't know what she's doing, and it's such a crying shame. Listen, there's been a lot of fear that this episode was where the social justice warrior progressives were going to start taking over. You had this new character. I didn't quite catch who she was. It was a former shock trooper. Hang on, I had this open on IMDb. Let's have a look. 5, full cast. Still what the Jawas in the cast on IMDb. No, that's not. What? No, okay, I'm looking at the wrong one. That's why. We've got to go to episode 4, Sanctuary. And then we'll talk about look quickly what the plot is. There's not much to talk about because the plots on these things are pretty easy. So yeah, you got this new character called Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano, who I don't know. I think she's a voice actor. She's done Wonder Woman. I've heard. Look at these links I'm opening up. Okay, I'm being such a boomer. I'm feeling so great about myself. So yeah, okay, fine. So she does have. She's in Fast and Furious. She does have again. Look, she's probably the right casting for this. But it didn't work. The fight scene. Okay, so this is basically what happens. The Mandalorian has Baby Yoda. He's flying off to a planet to try and find somewhere to hide out, so nobody comes after him. And he finds this peaceful little planet in the middle of nowhere with no space. So fine, I'll hide out here. And then I think she's a former Imperial shock trooper who's turned bounty hunter or something. She's doing it, and they catch a glimpse at each other. And he goes out and she gets a drop on him and they beats the crap out of him. Which doesn't... I think the reason it doesn't work is because of poor directing. I didn't buy it. I didn't feel it was a real fight. It didn't feel like she could take him down. And in writing terms, she probably could take him down. She's a former shock trooper. You just had to shoot it differently. So I don't know. But look, this may be the introduction of the social justice warrior progressives into the Mandalorian, and what a shame that would be. Because I don't trust Disney. I don't trust them. I trust Jon Favreau. I think he loves Star Wars. I think Dave Filoni loves Star Wars, but he's been pretty much forced to play a corporate game. I don't trust Kathleen Kennedy at all. I mean, this, and I was just watching a clip of Bryce Dallas Howard talking about this, and they bring up Laura Dern. Okay, darling, when you're talking to Star Wars fans, the last name you want to bring up is Laura Dern, Admiral Hodo. What's that awful purple-haired character? Who really should have been left on the cutting room floor, but the entire script should never have been greenlit. That character was called from The Last Jedi, and she was terrible. I found her more endemic of everything wrong with that movie, much more than Rose Tico, who was also pretty endemic of everything wrong with that movie. So, anyway, so they go out to this planet and they hide out, and this shock trooper gets the drop on the Mandalorian, beats the crap out of him, very unconvincingly, and so they go into the middle of nowhere, and they're with this little native village, who are being attacked by raiders who've got hold of an AT-AT. And essentially it's like a 30-minute Magnificent Seven where they've got to train the villagers to defend themselves and make a plan and save everyone before they have to run away once again, because they get found by more bounty hunters at the end. Spoilers! I'm assuming this is going out, Saturday, Sunday, depending where you are. I'm assuming this, but yeah, you've been thoroughly spoiled by this point. Other SJW elements in it which I really didn't like. They said, "Has anybody used a gun before?" And all the men were like, "I don't know." And of course, the strong woman, Miss the widow, whatever. And he said, "Oh yes, I can." And she's like, "Perfect shot." It just doesn't strike me that firing blasters is particularly difficult. Yeah, honestly, if you ever fired, what's the gun? A Magnum? I know. I've been in firing a few times. It's not very hard. You just do what they tell you to, and the bullet goes exactly where you point it. It's like missing with a garden hose. You just point it, and it goes there. Yeah. So I imagine the technology for blasters, although this was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But I imagine the technology for blasters is at least as good as the technology for a Uzi or a Smith and Wesson. But again, it was the script I think held together. I just think it was a director putting over a head and producing substandard results with it. So look, this is my message to anybody in Hollywood. is a message to J.J. Abrams, who did exactly the same thing. If you want to help your kids with their professional creative endeavors, don't get them dream gigs. It's terrible for them. It's absolutely terrible because the only way you get to be better is by being put into the fire of like having to make it work. And if you're not under that pressure, you're never going to grow. That engine, you're robbing your children of like a full life. But even though Bryce Dallas Howard is what, mid to late 30s now, so her life should have really been her own by this point. But like J.J. Abrams, he recently got his kid this gig to write a Spider-Man comic. Okay, if you're in that position where you can coordinate space, what you're much better to do is fund an indie production for your kid, like at a low level indie production, and say leave it with them, sink or swim, and help them out. Like if you have experience in the field, help them out. But don't put them in this insane position of privilege that they shouldn't be in without working for it. You're not helping anyone. You're making them look bad, and you're hurting them. You're hurting your children. So Ron Howard, if you wanted to help out your daughter, you should have just helped her make an indie movie or something that she's interested in. I don't think she really has a massive interest in Star Wars. I think Jon Favreau does, but look, there is this lie being forced on us that men and women are identical and interchangeable, and it's a lie. It's just fun. One's gender is integral to one's personality. It's a fundamental building block of it. This is not to say that not any sex can do the job of any other sex, but the reason that you don't traditionally have women, they're not female centric in these like very testosterone driven fantasy adventures, is because anything that was extremely hazardous to life, like being in combat, being a bounty hunter, being in war, was almost exclusively done by men, and not because of the male patriarchy, out of decency and goodness. So it's this whole push to equalize the representation of the genders in things that weren't traditionally there. That doesn't work. And so my basic point is, I don't think Bryce Dallas Howard is much of a fangirl, isn't much into style. I think this was a high profile job that she could get, and it was a mistake for her to take it. They should have given her something that she was interested in. It's like, may I say, a bit more feminine, because that was something else that was going on in this episode. It was just a little bit feminine. The force in this episode was female, and we've seen where that takes us. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to women in Star Wars or in any shape. They're just crazy. I'm opposed to something being fundamentally changed to take on an intrinsically false philosophy, which is what they're doing here. I'm hoping they're going to be back on form next week. We're getting back to tried and tested directors. We have Dave Filoni back for episode 5, and then there's Rick, who I can't pronounce his name again. Rick Famuyiwa, who and also look, he actually did the screenplay as well. That's interesting. Dave Filoni did the screenplay for episode 5, and story by Christopher Yost, and screenplay by Yost and Rick Famuyiwa, whoever you are, on episode 6. Debra Chow's back for episode 7. Debra Chow did episode 3, The Sin. Fantastic episode, great shootout. You see, somebody who has a bit of affinity for this. And it's something I'm going to say now. I understand you want more women working behind the camera in position of power. Yeah, okay, I'm fine. Just make sure they're suited for it. May I make a suggestion? Deborah Talali, who has directed many fantastic episodes of Doctor Who, she would have been perfect for this. She knows exactly what she's doing. And the final episode is going to be directed by Taika Waititi, who is a disgusting, vile piece of crap. But he does make a good movie. So I'm hoping it's going to be pretty darn good. My name is Phila Beck, and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, subscribe, ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop, and let me know what you think. I got a ton of comments to reply to, because it's Sabbath for me. It just ended, but from Friday night in Israel to Saturday night around 5 o'clock. I'm not online. I schedule my videos to go out at 9 a.m. East Coast time, then 9 a.m. West Coast time, which is after Sabbath has started for me. And there's just a ton of comments now that I got to like go through and reply and be polite to at the very least. Thank you so much for listening. And again, let me know what you think. Have a great day.